6 PM, we'll call the meeting to order. All right, approve the minutes from last meeting. Did we get those out? Those come out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, that's right, yeah, they did.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as typed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. First up is street sign request. Is that why you're here? Street sign request? No? Okay. Well, yeah, we'll skip right over to whatever you have.
Whatever I have?
Yeah?
Okay. Am I the only one here? So I want to request consideration for a crosswalk at the intersection of Gates Pond Road and River Road East, and then a connecting sidewalk from the crosswalk to that new neighborhood, Indian Farm. They put a crosswalk, if you're coming out of that street, on the right-hand side, but if you cross over Gates Pond, from Gates Pond over River, there's no crosswalk there and there's no sidewalk connecting. And it's a really dangerous intersection. I live on Gates Pond and there's a lot of children there. There's a lot of people that walk down the street every day and kind of like look like they're commuting. I work from home, so I see them through my window. Runners, walkers, we have several elderly in the neighborhood as well, and people with disabilities. There's at least 3 that I can count right in my immediate vicinity.
Okay. And I should have asked you first, what's your name?
Danielle Avery.
Danielle.
I should have led with that, sorry.
You live on Gates Pond Road?
I do.
What number?
244.
244.
Yeah, her first request came October 30th,
Okay.
right, through an email.
Did we talk about the last meeting?
We did.
We did.
I just went through all my crap. I thought I had the CMRPC list, you know, for sidewalk improvements and things like that, but I don't have it with me.
Yeah, and we never looked, when we did complete streets, we never looked that far.
Yeah.
Of course, the subdivision is in Hudson,
Yeah,
so
So there is a crosswalk there now on the Hudson side? Or is
There's
it?
no crosswalk. So the Gates Pond to River Road, that intersection, I
Yep.
believe is all Berlin.
Yep.
Yep.
And then, so if you were to cross and then take a left going towards Hudson,
Yep.
there's a small area that doesn't have a sidewalk. Once you go past the entrance to that Indian Farm Estates,
Yep.
the next house there.
This is where the
that's
sidewalk
sidewalk
starts. Okay.
But there's just so many people that cross from Gates Pond over River and start their walk right there. It's just a small section, but it would make a huge difference. Because it's so dangerous. People are flying down that road. At one point there was, and I don't know if it was the town of Berlin or the town of Hudson that put it out, but there was a, something that showed speed.
Okay.
And it was crazy how fast.
actually, I think that was Hudson's. Was
Okay.
it on the side of the road heading into Hudson?
Yes.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that was Hudson's.
Right, yeah, I mean, I think we should probably take a ride down and look at it
Yeah.
before we make any decisions.
Yeah, because even if we did, it wouldn't be any time, like, real quick. Right now, we're working on a complete streets sidewalk improvement right up in the center of town, and that's still in the development stage. We were just awarded the grant for that. But yeah, we'll definitely take a ride down and look at it,
Okay.
and maybe try to put something together for figures and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Anything I can do to push it along or?
We'll give you a call. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to make it down tomorrow or not.
Yeah,
But-
tomorrow
Yeah.
might be really tight.
But we'll definitely do it the next, before.
Yeah, within the next week or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be
Yeah,
able
we'll
to
definitely do it.
look
We'll
at
let you know.
Awesome. And then if you thought, yes, we should do this, any idea on timeline, what that would look like?
Not off
Well,
the
I
top
mean,
of my
the center of town is what, on a
Years
2-year?
or-
2 years so far on the center of town?
So-
It's not just going and putting a sidewalk, it's engineering, regrading, fallen ADA compliance, there's so much that goes behind it.
Okay.
It's not like putting up a stop sign or a yield sign or anything like that. There's a lot of work that goes behind it, but it doesn't mean we can't put the effort into it.
Yeah.
I would think the question would always arise as to the prioritization of crosswalks and sidewalk development in
Yeah.
any part of town.
Yeah.
And how you would rank this particular piece compared to any number of other places that people might say a crosswalk would be helpful, which,
Yeah.
other than the center of town,
Yeah.
there hasn't been any
Yeah, it hasn't,
evaluation
yeah.
about need or, priority. So that would be the awkward part, I think,
Mhm.
in terms of trying to assign a date as to when it might happen, because I think it would probably be prudent for us to, if you're gonna say there's scarce resources to deal with crosswalks and sidewalk improvement in general, it seems like you'd have to have some sort of evaluation of where else you might wanna, because we know that, for instance, Carterville, and that isn't on the list right now. And, and trying to get down through to the school efficiently, there has to be some improvement there perhaps. Northbrook Village, access down through, that was part of the prioritization plan with complete streets. So.
Okay.
Have they looked I can't remember because it's been a bit since I looked at it, but the prioritization plan, did it look at all sidewalks?
It looked at areas where there were sidewalks, and it suggested where there were gaps, particularly in the most heavily used area where we felt the network needed to be completed. School, library, 19 Carter, town offices, that sort of stuff. We didn't look at South Berlin or West Berlin or East Berlin
Just gaps in existing sidewalks?
We just, because, we already know that $500,000 is gonna do one small section of the complete streets
Right.
prioritization plan. In order to do the whole package, you'd be talking about millions. And that doesn't begin to even look at the hinterlands at all. So,
Yeah, I wonder if we can at least go down and look to see if we can put a crosswalk in and,
yeah.
and and then,
Yeah.
maybe go down and cut the bank back a little bit, just to get something going.
Well, that would be a line of sight from Gates Pond.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
thing would be to get something behind the guardrail
yeah,
going towards Indian Ridge.
yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're thinking maybe a crosswalk would be a possibility before a sidewalk? That would even be.
That's probably
Yeah.
got a better chance.
yeah, yeah, it's got a quicker
Even
chance.
that, like on
Yeah.
its own, would be amazing.
Yeah.
I think it would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of times I think people are like, almost like, not people who are from this area, but
Yeah.
almost like shocked to see people like. 'Cause
Yeah.
a couple times, like I've been trying to cross, and they're like, they're like, whoa, like not expecting to see someone crossing there. So
Yeah.
I think even a crosswalk on its own
Yeah.
would be a huge improvement.
Yeah.
Sidewalk would obviously be a plus, but
Yeah.
It's a scary intersection there to drive through, let alone try to cross.
yeah, it is.
Understood,
And there's
yep.
there's so many people, like, I can't tell you how many people I see walking by my house and do it every day. And so, and my kids do it. Obviously, I have a personal
Nope.
interest, but.
And it's one of the, without you coming in, I would not have guessed there were that many people trying to cross there and that it was utilized as much as you're saying it is. So, that's a good thing for having these meetings and being able to hear that, because we're gonna go down and take a look at it and I'll pay a lot more attention down there and stuff just for that reason, because I didn't realize that there was that much activity.
Yeah, there is quite a bit. So, okay,
Okay,
wonderful.
all right,
Well, thank
perfect.
you.
All
You're
right,
welcome.
thank you. All right. We have one street sign request at the end of Lancaster Road where it meets Randall Road. It says to increase overall traffic safety, reducing speed of cars coming off Lancaster Road. several past accidents, prevent future accidents, to make the junction more safe and increase visibility for around the corner on Randall Road at the stop sign to see oncoming traffic. So that would be coming down towards Randall, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're saying, the stop sign there?
Yeah,
Well,
and
you know, one of the issues is, as we know, is we cannot put in stop signs to reduce speed. That's one of our issues right there.
I should have brought, there was a traffic study, not like a main study done. The speed trailer that we
Yeah.
signed in agreement with came with the option of an engineer coming out, traffic engineer, and riding the road.
Yeah,
And just highlight all these things that could be changed, updated,
Yeah.
things that are missing, and the speed of
Yeah.
that corner. So he takes the speed at the posted limit and
Yeah.
everything, makes recommendations. Nothing was ever said about any sign needed there,
yeah,
or how he felt. Actually, one of the speed limit signs, I believe is the one on Randall coming up the hill, is illegal.
yeah.
There's never a speed study done.
Yeah.
So that has to come down. One of them up there has to come down.
And we had a high frequency of accidents at that intersection. I know we had the one in the telephone pole a week or two ago, but,
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall too many accidents there.
yeah, I'm not seeing that as a high traffic accident area.
Yeah, and I can't see put a two-way stop in a three-way intersection. It's, that'd be even cause more confusion.
And for the increase in visibility from around the corner,
Yeah,
that intersection's wide open.
Yeah, because that's the one, we were just there for the call the other day with the house.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of room there. There's great line of sight because we could put all the fire apparatus there and people could still drive by.
Right. I wouldn't recommend that one.
Is there a second? Motion not to recommend by Fred?
Because that, what is it, about 20 or 25 by Litchwell's?
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
what the corner's posted for.
I mean, I'm willing to go up there and take another look at it, but I guess, you know, I'd say not recommended. We can go put our eyes on it and see if it changes it, but
Yeah. All right, or we can push it off to our next meeting, go up and take a look.
all right, I'll make a motion, we table it for our next meeting and at least put our eyes on it and take another fresh look at it.
All right, is there a second on tabling it?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
And in the meantime, can a car be put up there once in a while?
Yeah,
Just to like see what they're saying about speeds coming from the corner? We'll be able to
Yeah.
deploy our trailer, but it won't be till after the 16th of April.
okay.
Have you gotten complaints up there before?
No.
Okay.
No,
So-
speeding complaints up in Garfield Woods area.
Yeah,
No,
yep.
after mile up.
Okay.
All right, so we'll table that one.
It's the Berlin A&M.
All right, so that's the only street sign request we have. Review complete streets prioritization.
Yeah, I didn't bring that part with me.
Okay,
Um,
all right, go to that,
But
next
we
one.
are moving forward with the Complete Streets grant for
Yeah.
the sidewalk up there.
Yeah, for the sidewalks in the center, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm getting questions from people in the center saying, when do they get a chance to chime in? So are there gonna be some public gatherings to talk about? I know there's 500,000. It suggested pieces of the puzzle, but was it very specific about exactly where?
Yeah, so the plan is to go from right in front of the Bullard House,
Right.
right up to the intersection 19 Carter. So that'll be a new section.
So that's a good place to start. So some people have said to me, they observe people using the two legs of the piece on both sides of the meeting house, and then they end up in no man's land. So what we're suggesting is they would cross Woodard Avenue and then proceed up the northwest side of Woodard
Okay.
against the houses,
Yep.
as opposed to a third leg that would be on the common itself, leaving the full width of Woodard Avenue for perhaps a single lane of traffic and parking. I mean, right now what happens is if it's 2 lanes of traffic and the parking, you don't,
I don't think there's room.
you can't do it
Yeah.
already. So is the proposal to go with a single lane, a one-way on Woodard? We experimented and we discovered that one-way on Carter and one-way on Woodard didn't make sense. So I can see that we leave Carter 2 ways, but are we considering the possibility of going one way on Woodard Avenue?
Honestly, we didn't discuss it.
So,
Yeah, I mean, we haven't discussed it, but I mean, obviously, common sense wise, we would have to make it one way
it's particularly if you put a sidewalk there.
if we
too.
put a sidewalk in.
So right now, there's room for 1 lane of traffic without a sidewalk. Is it worth considering, or does it just become an engineering nightmare to think about the sidewalk as a third leg on the common so that there's really a circuit without having to cross Woodard Avenue at all?
Well, they would still have to cross if they would have come up by the cemetery and wanted to get to Woodard, because they'd cross there.
Right, but what people are telling me is there are people that park their car on the common and then use those sidewalks to exercise.
So what you're saying, you'd rather see the sidewalk
That's-
adjacent to the church, so it's just a triangle?
Yeah, and I don't know if we even looked at that when we thought about where the leg would go between the Board House and the library. Did we? Because right now the crosswalk is from the corner of the Common to 19 Carter. I assume is there a crosswalk from 19 Carter to the library?
Yes, there is.
So those already exist. Are we talking about a sidewalk up the length of Woodard Avenue on the left-hand side, Town Hall side, and then another crosswalk once you get to the library?
There is a crosswalk on Carter Street that goes.
Because there's already
There's 3
There's
part of
crosswalks,
a
sidewalk there.
crosswalks in that area.
Yeah.
So anyway, are we going to involve the public at some point to begin to throw around ideas? Or is that the barn door closed?
I don't believe they've started engineering.
So-
So yeah, there's definitely a possibility.
I think politically it would be a good idea.
I just received a proposal for the engineering for the project. So, one of the things I've seen happen before too, and sometimes the engineering firm will do this, is they'll actually organize a public meeting and
Yeah.
take the input directly so that they can get it and they can ask any technical questions while they're there. So I can reach out and ask if that's something that they'd be maybe willing to add and, help facilitate.
Yeah.
Tim, can you remind me, are we still talking about some angle parking on Woodward?
Angle parking, I assume if you made it one way,
Right.
Yeah,
would
if you make it
still
one
work.
way, you can keep parking throughout the whole thing.
But what you notice is that as you get closer to the library, the width of the pavement decreases. So that the angle parking is more restricted, and that's where you end up with that problem of no two-way traffic. So that's where, when I thought about the sidewalk on the house sides of Woodard, I thought, if you could complete a network around the meeting house, give yourself more access on Woodard and, get away with that, is it worth the discussion? And I don't know how, the people in the center might say, what are you, crazy? I don't live there, but it just seems like we ought to get an opportunity to let some people voice their opinions.
Certainly.
The other legs are trying to get from the graveyard to the store to the bank, which, you know, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
And there isn't a sidewalk along the children's church. Are we talking, did it include both sides of Central
No,
at that point, or just the one side?
just the one side from where we ended at the cemetery, or
Right.
Jane's house, to the store.
To the store? And do we want to try to get to the bank? The problem then is, how do you get to the other side of Pleasant? You can't
Right.
easily. It seems like you're better off on Jane's side, and then passing Pleasant and coming back to the, you know, the conservation land. But that may be down the road further.
Right.
Yeah, because that's a harder nut to crack anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Good news, sir. To your point, task 3 in the proposal, public informational and Berlin Historical Commission meetings.
Ooh, wow,
They're on it.
nice. Great. I think that would be a big help.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
They want
so,
to present basically just a conceptual design and get feedback from them to develop the final design.
Nice.
So it is obviously in the very early stages,
Yeah,
which is.
that's exactly where you want to be.
Yep.
Okay.
that's all we have.
All right. Traffic and infrastructure, was that traffic and infrastructure? No, that was review complete streets, right?
Yeah.
Traffic and infrastructure plan?
So we just got a cost estimate on the South Street Bridge the other day, Tuesday. 900,300 and some odd dollars. They're still working with MassDOT on getting the approval. And also the engineers are looking into additional state funding that may be available
Okay. Good.
to help us out. Because if we get awarded the full grant, it's 500.
Yeah.
So anything else is a blessing.
Okay.
Still no timeline yet. They were hoping to get it out to bid April to May, but they haven't heard back from MassDOT yet. We just received our second approval, so the roads that are being done this year is complete Peach Hill. That just got accepted by the state today. Yesterday, we got the approval for Lower Sawyer Hill. They're gonna do 2 inches of milling from the town line to the house that Mass Brook and Stone owns, the blue house, just before it widens out. So they're gonna do a 2-inch mill with a 1-inch leveler, 1.5 wear course. Depending on how fast I can get it pushed through conservation with the hearing, they're hoping to start sometime in May.
Fred, I didn't hear you, what were you saying?
Our paving projects.
Oh, paving.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're doing complete Peach Hill Road and then Lower Sawyer Hill Road. Lower Sawyer is gonna be a mill with just 1-inch leveler and 1.5 inch top course. And Peach Hill Road is a complete reclamation.
So Lower Sawyer Hill is the north side.
From the Bolton Town line to just
Yeah.
before the house that Andy owns.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a mess.
a little bit, it's just unraveling. So, but that's the road projects for this year. Unless we can get another one later on in the year, in chapter 90 allows it.
So, in the Complete Streets package, it's come across from the graveyard to Bullard and deal with that no man's land right there. That's included in the package?
What do you mean, no man's land?
Well, you get to the other side of Central Street from the graveyard on the crosswalk.
Yeah, so that's where the new sidewalk would start.
So the new sidewalk would start there. And is the drainage discussion for 1870 and Bullard included in the, I mean, is that being done in
No.
tangent with?
Well, as far as I know, that was something totally separate.
It is separate, but it's impactful, right?
Oh, it is, yeah.
I mean, if you do the sidewalk somehow you've got to figure out what's going on with the driveway and the drainage from 1870, I would assume.
Yeah.
So we have,
You got some ARPA money for that?
yeah, and we've got a proposal from a engineering firm to go out, look at that, and make recommendations. In fact, Historical is going to discuss that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then also, once that's done, there's a capital item for paving of the driveway. So we understand we got to do like cart before the horse and everything in the right order, but we are trying to make sure all those pieces
Yeah.
get addressed.
Yeah, so those inform the engineering work that's done by
Yeah,
the
and I'll mention that to
Complete
them
Streets
too.
guys.
Yeah, and I was unaware of the whole drainage engineering thing until I think Kristen had told me about it. So Historical, they don't share information. Because
Well, they
now
don't-
there's even talk about making the parking lot up top a little bigger. So it gives more parking for everything up there.
I think that got driven by I think the 1870 drainage problem began to impact what the Historical Commission was trying to accomplish with the Bullard House. So that the Historical Commissions, depending on the engineering study you're talking about,
Yep.
before they make some decisions about how they proceed.
Correct.
Yeah, so,
So there's they're kind of doing a couple different things. They have some actual foundation issues physically around the Bullard House that they believe are separate from what's coming down the hill from 1870. That might potentially be causing a little bit of it, but they also just generally have some issues around the foundation that need to be addressed. So I'm trying to convince them to get a project manager, because I think it would be really helpful to have somebody look at the whole picture and look at the two sites comprehensively, because they do impact one another with regard particularly to drainage, parking, and there's still discussion about a walkway potentially going between the two properties.
so the Bullard House foundation proposal,
You can be
which
project
is
manager, right?
one piece,
I don't know.
has an engineer that
They don't share any
includes in
information.
his specs oversight of the foundation work.
Yep.
And whatever number of visits are necessary to make sure that it's completed appropriately based on the specs.
Right, and that'll address some of the water.
And that'll just some of the water. So they have somebody in that instance that's there to help oversee that part.
Yes.
If you work with an independent engineer to do the drainage for 1870, is that oversight from Fred?
That's the problem right now. Basically, June Miller has come to me with a proposal from the engineering firm for them to go out and just make recommendations. I'm not qualified to do it. I don't think that anyone on Historical is qualified
Right.
to do it.
But that's a separate engineering firm from the one that's doing the
There's
foundation.
TF Moran and Hancock
Right.
that are involved. So that's why I'm kind of recommending an overall sort of either project manager or clerk of the works to look at the whole project, because it's been kind of happening in pieces.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of interconnectivity between those pieces, and obviously Fred should be looped in, but I don't think it should be Fred's responsibility to oversee that project, unless you really want to.
Yeah, no, I don't think he needs
Okay,
that.
cool, just checking. But
So-
no, I really do think that we may have
You're
some
all right
economies
with
of
that?
scale
Yeah,
too, if we
right.
do some of this work like comprehensively under one bid. Because right now, they've already gone far enough where we should bid out the drainage and the foundation work on the Bullard House site and do that piece, because that's ready to go out to bid because they have design.
Yeah.
But for the rest of it, I think it would make sense to take a more comprehensive approach.
Right, and Ross did some preliminary stuff,
Yes.
but then said, we're over our head, and that's where Hancock came in.
Right, and I'm still, look, this is relatively new to me too. I'm learning about this since we allocated, the select board allocated $55,000 in ARPA money to look at the drainage and parking and possibly the front steps at 1870, but I don't think there's gonna be enough money to do all of that. It was like an 1870 Bullard site improvement pot of money. So the first thing we wanted to look at was drainage, because obviously, you can see that there's stuff running down the hill. I mean, I'm not an engineer, and I can tell that there's a problem there, I just can't tell you how to fix it.
Right.
So that's why engaging an engineer was the first step. But it's a little tricky. I know they're meeting tomorrow, and I was gonna try to go. I don't know if you wanna come. I figure you're out doing trees and roads and all that good stuff.
Oh, is
but
it daytime?
It is.
What time is
They
it?
usually meet at 10.
Let's see what's going
It'd
on.
be great if you went, given what I know about this. Because
'Cause I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around it too.
Because the sidewalk, the drainage
I'm checking.
is all integrated. It's all overlapping. And
It's 1 o'clock, excuse me.
Oh.
Usually they meet at 10. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah.
I didn't interrupt you.
Where's that at?
Room 227, so the last room on the right, town offices.
Yeah, so they first approached me and said
Trying
that
to
all the
figure it
water
out,
was
like,
coming
without
from
going up this side.
1870 running down the bank, and the reason why was there were no gutters on that side.
Because there's
Gutters
water
had been
here,
ripped
too.
down years
There's
ago.
one up here.
So we installed new gutters. And our plan was to, when we did the paving, we were
Yeah.
gonna come down that whole edge with a berm,
Because
with a
way
basin
up
right at
here,
the street.
we could get rid of it and just
Tie that
keep these
basin in with the one across the street.
yeah.
Um,
But if everybody's on the same page, that'd be great. Because it seems like there's a lot of directions going. All
Yeah.
these pieces seem to be
There is
tied
an
in.
update on the
They
290
really are, and I'll
update.
send you, because
No.
it's funny you asked this, June Miller sent me an email asking about the Hancock proposal and if it covered what we need. And I'm going, I'm not the right person to answer that question either. Not saying that that's your responsibility, but I'll share it with you so you can at least see what they're talking about looking at doing. And then I've got this on my calendar to head
I mean,
out, and maybe we can tie everything start to tie everything together. But I still do recommend they
Yeah.
I told them I would help them put a bid out for like a clerk of the works or an
'Cause-
overall project
Because I
manager.
looked at Hancock, and it's sort of a vague continuation of some of the survey work that Ross was beginning to do to try to figure out drainage in general, but I don't think it assumed that there was an 1870 component to it. So it needs to be respected.
Yep.
And that's where, I mean, you playing a role in that process, just to say, here's what I understand has happened, at the same time that it seems like everybody be on the same page, would be a big time saver.
It would be, because I feel like, June and I are kind of just bumping along a little bit, trying to figure out how to piece it all together. So, and there are so many components to it, so it'd be great to, especially on the drainage. That's certainly more your wheelhouse than mine.
Oh, sure. We'll even have them volunteer and help us.
No volunteer construction. Sorry. Which liability?
We can't forget a microphone. I will be there.
Thank you, Fred, I appreciate that.
Yes.
So,
You ready for another item?
Yeah.
So, school wanted an electronic sign. Planning board met with the school and chatted about it. An article got generated to put potentially 2 electronic signs in town, one at the school, one in the center. Both for municipal uses only. So if there were to be an electronic sign in the center, I guess I'm interested in public safety's view of electronic signs in general and your thoughts about the distractibility issue or, the public benefits and where it might be
I mean, the
located.
benefit is you can get your message out, but it's always a distraction.
Yeah, so
you know.
I just.
You know,
it's-
but
it's-
like my thing is, where do you want the distraction? You want it before the intersection or after the intersection? Because either way, you know, somebody say, oh, I was reading the sign and didn't see the person going across the crosswalk. I was reading the sign and didn't see that car pulling out, or I pulled out because the sign was in the way.
Now, the argument is that we have the big traffic safety sign that we use because we've got it for public service messages.
Yeah.
And if we're doing that, should we do it more efficiently through the placement strategically of a sign that meets a certain series of recommendations based on public hearing and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of engineering behind that to make sure the letters are big enough, and, I mean, the sign we have now is enormous.
Right.
And, you know, that's why it's easy for people to read, but if you put that sign a third of the size, you know, people either hit their brakes to read it, or, you know, watching the sign rather than watching the road, you know.
So the discussion is going to be, and we're having a public hearing on the 9th, so it'd be interesting to hear what the public has to say. But, I mean, there's this debate about the benefits and the risks.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm sort of throwing it out to you guys, because I wasn't sure you'd be at the hearing. And
Right.
I would be perfectly willing to share whatever thoughts you had back with the planning board when we meet on the 9th.
I think from a public safety standpoint, there's some definite benefits that come to that from, you know, being able to identify, if you will, storms, you know, events that are going on, road closures, those type of thing, emergencies that occur. And I know a lot of departments or public safety departments have put those on their signs and use grant money to do that as a way of being able to notify them. However, to the chief's point, having it like right in the center of town, near the crosswalks and stuff, where people may be trying to read a smaller sign, it definitely creates a distraction for people. So it's kind of looking to see where that's going to be ideal to put, you know, in a more controlled environment. That would be something that would be to be taken into consideration.
Well, then the other issue is, where is there town land that we could put it?
Now, you talking like a double-sided sign, so you could read both directions? I mean,
And then the next additional question is the appropriate location for it at the school.
I think the first time they brought that up, they were gonna put it, if you were exiting the school parking lot on the left side, yeah, because that's where they could easily get power for it.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's changed.
I think that's still the primary location that they looked at. You again wonder about in and out of the school, reading the sign, you know,
Mhm.
who am I paying attention to? And if you have any experience based on what you've seen in other towns, Northborough has it, Boylston has it. You know, I went to North Brookfield. and
yeah,
looked at
Boylston,
theirs.
there's at that big intersection, 140, right?
140.
Yeah, that's a huge
140, and then
intersection.
The high school has one also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that's why,
Yeah.
they want to offset it at the school back a little farther, so you have visibility coming, approaching both ways, and what population you're serving. I personally, not professionally, I think the one in the center is ugly and disproportioned for the town and the aesthetic of the town, but in emergency use, when it's there, it makes sense, but overkill, I've witnessed people lock their brakes up to read that somebody came in second in the Christmas tree light contest on Peach Hill Road and just went white-faced thinking someone's gonna get killed, so it was not necessary. The majority of the population is commuter, they're not residents. When the bridge, and if it's fixed with the state, your school population, your wonderful athletic fields, your pickleball, frisbee course, your transfer station, the majority of Berlin people drive down South Street. Who are your audience? Is it commuters coming to go to Mount Wachusett or go, to Hudson?
I mean, South Street carries 3,500 cars a day when things are running smooth and the bridge is open. Pleasant carries 45, Route 62 carries 10, 5, 11. There's certainly more commuters on Pleasant and South than there used to be, so, but you're right. I mean, look, if the notion is to give information, particularly to parents, then located at the school and all those people that use the athletic fields and stuff. And hopefully more with the tennis courts and the pavilion and all those types of things. So would it be prudent to just go with one sign to start with at the school and hold off on the second sign until we get some?
I mean, the only thing I can think of for the second sign is at the DPW. You know, the only stretch of land that's straight and somewhat, I mean, but you still have the hill visibility issues, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say, looking at it typically you see them go on the fire or the police station type of thing, or town hall, but being that we're all located in one lot right here,
Right.
it may not get the best exposure, but the highway garage, I was even thinking, I don't know whether or not the library on Carter Street is gonna get a lot more traffic of the locals just driving by that, being able to see a sign and read the information that the town wants to put out.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think Highland's carrying less than 3,000 and Walnut's carrying less than 1,500.
Yeah.
Maybe less than 1,000, probably less than 1,000. So, and if you put it here at this facility,
It's right next to the, it's almost right next to the other one. But if the old fire station was down, that would be a perfect location.
Yep.
Well, I've received some interesting feedback from a few residents who've come in. I think I'm going to make a wager right now that this is going to be the hot button topic at town meeting. Because there isn't a fence to argue about, so I think this will be it. I personally think the current signboard is more distracting than an LED. I mean, honestly,
Yes.
when you're, that should be for road detours, emergencies, but yet I have heard from a few folks that they're just totally opposed to the LED sign. I think they think it's going to be like one of those flashing marijuana signs or something like that. So I think getting the information out there, and folks should attend the planning board hearing because it's being very carefully and well thought through as to, size, character, lettering, all of that. And I don't believe it's allowed to be flashing or anything that would be distracting to drivers. So it's interesting because I certainly understand people's concerns about safety and looking at signs while they're driving, but my personal opinion is that large message board is more distracting.
Yeah, I can say my experience with other communities that I've been in where these have gone in and these discussions have come up to distract the drivers and stuff, those signs that are smaller, that do more of the scrolling and not the flashing, they're restricted in what they can put on and it's controlled by the town as to what message they put on. There has not been an increase in accidents or events occurring. A lot of the fear of them coming in was more of to your point, the big LED signs. It's like this is going to change the fabric of the community, that type of thing. And in the end, that didn't happen. It's just that one sign that a lot of people use for information because when they drive by, they see what's going on. It notifies them when town meeting's coming, when there's a special town meeting, when there's a storm coming, those type of things. And it also is much easier than the big sign that is glaring at you, that is flashing, that kind of jumps out at you.
We're also limited by what you can put on the sign too, because what is it, 8 characters on each line?
Yeah,
8
there's
letters on each line?
15
So if you're trying
screens.
to put town meeting, May 6th, Berlin Memorial School gym, 7:30 p.m., you're already on to the next screen. So you can't even put the whole message, succinctly on one. So I think there would be some benefit from that perspective as well.
What do you say?
Fluid spill.
If you have any thoughts, the planning board would love to hear.
Yeah.
You should probably attend the planning board hearing. I mean, just saying.
Yes,
It'd be good
you should.
to have you guys there.
Fred wants to give you a meeting to attend now that he's got a meeting to attend.
Yeah.
I'll tell them you'll be there.
So is there a good spot on Pleasant Street, one of those? Rural parking, conservation parking?
Or even, what about the triangle right there, the one-way street?
Yeah.
by the cemetery?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, the approach would be off because you're
Yeah,
actually
but the
rounding the
downfall is
corners.
those are crosswalks right there too. You know?
No, there's no crosswalk on Pleasant Street.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking
Yeah, right at the
on,
one-way street at the
oh, I thought
cemetery.
you were talking at, I'm thinking of the little island in, the center of town.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's where I was
I'm still
thinking, too.
focused on the center of town.
It has that, just Pleasant Street, like South Street, is gonna carry a lot more residents versus Route 62. So if that's one of your criteria, I'd say,
I see a difficulty in the center trying to figure out a location.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Because like you say, you've got,
Too many intersections, too many crosswalks, too many
What's going
people
on?
crossing the street.
Yeah.
Busy.
Too many cars pulling out of the store, National Lumber, the bank.
I do think the highway garage is a great possible location for it.
so if, I mean, I guess my feeling right now is that we ought to eliminate the second sign for now, go with the first sign at the school, proceed with that, and then, because the article specifically says the center of town within 1,000 feet of the center. I mean, I'm not convinced that we can all agree on that, whereas I think the sign might very well pass if it's just one sign at the
Oh,
school.
that's a good point.
And you'd get through the town meeting, and you could see how it went.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they could see down there, because I can really see the value in the parents and all that. And less risk in terms of public safety, and more use by town residents. So, whereas the center just becomes a nightmare and may kill the whole thing.
Yep.
Okay.
I actually did hear that from at least one resident who stopped by, who said, I don't have a problem with the schools, it's the center of town.
Yeah. Okay, good. Eric, you don't need to come to the meeting after all.
But the
I mean,
chief still
if
does.
you want me to, I mean, I'll be there.
Of course we want you there.
Nice work.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Fred, you can stay.
You know, I was thinking of attending.
What time's it, 5:30? 5 o'clock? 4:30?
Yeah. 8. It's on Zoom. You can participate by Zoom. You can raise your hand and we'll say, yes, chief.
No, I like the in-person stuff.
Yeah. There's not gonna be any in person. We're doing it on Zoom.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
They're doing the hybrid meeting room though, right?
No, it's on Zoom.
Everything?
Just
Planning
virtual.
planning board doesn't meet
Okay,
in person anymore since COVID. We're afraid of it.
okay.
You should come to the historical meeting.
On Zoom?
That's
Yeah.
in person. All right.
All right. So that's it?
Thanks.
Any other business?
I have
Motion?
other business, but individually rather than with
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do you have any stats on Pleasant Street since the second lane is open on 290? Is the state considering putting a traffic count on?
They already did
Before and afterwards?
the traffic count. We can probably get them back to do another one. But just not yet, because it's not finished. 290 is not finished yet.
No, but I have
Yeah.
seen, and you have seen a reduction since they opened that second lane.
Saw a big reduction, but for some reason during the day, I see a lot of tractor trailers cutting through. So I don't know why.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I noticed,
There is a reduction.
I noticed it last Friday. I was at a funeral in South Cemetery, and the amount of tractor trailers, car carriers, I'm like, where are they going?
I've used it, that new lane is like a roller coaster, I think they're coming back. To
Yeah.
fix it, they wanted to put it in so quick,
Oh.
it warbles,
They
it's
never did
kind
this
of
to them.
nerve wracking, but you can use
no,
it to
apparently.
back up.
Yeah,
with this-
but I actually saw them going
The state was
north,
gonna do
so
it,
that's,
and
they're
then
not
they were
even
gonna assist us.
taking 290, 495 north.
They basically said.
But when I was out at the funeral, I noticed a lot of tractor trailer, actually, I said
Okay.
something to the fire chief.
So that'll be
Do you
this year's
want me
paint
to
season.
ask Central Mass to ask the district to do another count?
I mean, we can do,
In a period of time from now?
yeah, because I'm trying to think, I think that project's slated to be done June 30th. So, you know, it would be nice to get another count done in July to see how it compares to last July.
The summer traffic, the people going south,
Yeah.
Connecticut, and things like that was our biggest burden on weekends.
Yeah.
And it really impacted Saturdays and Sundays on Pleasant Street terribly.
Yeah.
And the traffic picks up as we're coming into
Yeah.
the spring, summer.
So-
Chief, that northbound hairpin thing off
Yeah.
290, I could see where some of these big trucks would just
Yeah.
permanently say we're not taking that turn. It's awful.
Will you say that you see northbound traffic?
North,
on
yeah,
Pleasant
yeah, the
Street?
northbound last Friday, we were down there for like an hour, and
Yeah,
probably 20 tractor trailers
came across Pleasant Street.
that came northbound on Pleasant Street, and there was no activity on 290 and 495. We're like, what's going on? Like, this is not usual.
So, yeah, those drivers might have gotten trained that there's a
Yeah.
better way to get through, less dangerous.
Yeah.
I just felt after the increased traffic backed up to Brewer Road for the Pleasant Street because of
Yeah.
the 290, that whatever impact you had as a group or committee or Central Mass Planning, that finally our state reps and the state was listening and the residents were aware to direct the energy towards them. It's really the impact of construction on 495 that's affecting the traffic on Pleasant Street. I don't want to put it to bed, because I feel like something else will happen and we're going to get the burden of the traffic.
Well, I think the state has another repair job to do northbound.
Yes.
Which isn't done yet, and that may explain the
Yeah.
tractor trailers.
Yeah. Maybe the engineers were out that day, and maybe it was slowed down. But there was nothing public safety wise.
Right.
And South Street is, what's the schedule?
We don't know yet. They were hoping to get it out to bid between April and May, but it's still in the hands of Mass DOT. And this painting. So that'll be done this year in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
Do our
Oh,
line.
yeah. You're gonna finally do it? Good.
No,
Well,
the highway department's
Oh,
gonna
highway
do it.
does.
Oh, you guys have to do
Oh,
it?
yeah.
I thought the state was gonna do it.
Oh, yeah, no.
They kicked it back, apparently.
Oh, they did, huh?
Yeah, so you can expect traffic backing up there.
Northbound, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Well, it's fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we're gonna mechanically erase the lines that are existing, but
Yeah, I don't know.
that's one of the requirements. So we'll be up there with sandblasters, I think, peppering
Yeah.
cars or something.
All right, so now we can do a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right.